Hello, my name is Ojola Karajo, and this video is one of the outcomes of a study trip I took to India in 2016 as an MSc student at Imperial College Business School, London. Let's get started. First off, my topic: discuss the e-commerce industry in India and what strategies characterize this industry. Focus your answer on a suitable case study. Here's a brief outline for the video. I'll start off on a micro scale and dig further until I arrive at my case study, Flipkart India. I chose this topic because I have an e-commerce startup in Nigeria, and I believe studying India, a similar country in terms of characteristics, would be very valuable to the long-term success of my business. Global trends have revealed that the world has become more receptive to online shopping. People shop for categories of items ranging from books to fashion to electronics and even food. Furthermore, according to PwC, in 2013 alone, Asia Pacific emerged as the strongest business to consumer segment in the world with sales of around 560 billion US dollars and growth of an outstanding 45% over 2012. In comparison, Europe raked in 480 billion US dollars, while North America ranked third with 450 billion dollars. This huge potential makes India a very attractive and prime market to venture capitalists and global e-tail giants like Alibaba and Amazon. In addition, over 70% of Indians fall into the 15 to 34 age range, indicating that India possesses one of the largest youth populations globally. Furthermore, there's a rising trend in rural adoption of the internet. Between 2012 and 2015 alone, the number of internet users in rural regions in India has more than tripled. Similarly, the number of mobile internet users has doubled between 2013 and 2015. This was made possible by the arrival of reasonably priced 3G connectivity. Indians have found it much easier to shop with their mobile devices, as evidenced by the 10% growth in mobile internet spend between 2014 and 2015. By evaluating the Indian market using Roger's model of technology adoption, we can conclude that Indian e-commerce has been able to attract innovators and early adopters. There still, however, remains the crucial need to attract the early majority, which is the critical mass of users needed to solidify even further the Indian e-commerce market. Industry players are confronted with Moore's chasm and need to overcome this hurdle to ensure long-term success. This is supporting a growing trend in online purchases, including interesting categories such as wedding items. Tier 2 and 3 cities have not been left behind by metro cities. Rather, these have also witnessed a 30 to 50% rise in transactions. This can be attributed to the desire of Indians in these cities to acquire aspirational brands. In addition to this, micro, small, and medium enterprises are beginning to embrace e-commerce as a viable distribution channel to overcome some of the challenges encountered in reaching large volumes of customers. Finally, the last factor impacting on the macro environment is the political and legal landscape. This has been transformed because the government of India has been actively pushing innovation through programs like Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, Skill India, and the Innovation Fund. These are initiatives designed to encourage and facilitate private enterprise in India. The efforts of the government seem to be paying off already because, owing to regulatory improvements, India's rank of ease of doing business went up by 12 places in just 1 year, indicating that India's business climate has become more business friendly. However, there are still restrictions to foreign direct investment for those pursuing a business to consumer model, whereas firms adopting a business to business e-commerce model can attract FDI. Indeed, the e-commerce market in India bears strategic importance to several of these players, including Amazon, which lost the Chinese market to Alibaba and is keen on capturing India. Also closely related to this is the high advertising and marketing costs that characterize the industry. Another characteristic is the fragmented and small buyers, which have no switching costs. This results in multi-homing, that is, patronizing several platforms without any loyalty to any. And finally, substitutes to e-commerce in the form of traditional brick and mortar stores also exist. Next, we consider the e-commerce industry in India. Despite the fact that key global markets such as the US are at a stage of maturity, India's e-commerce market is experiencing a transition between the introduction and growth stages of its life cycle. Because of this, India's e-commerce market is characterized by several challenges and opportunities. The industry is characterized by intense competition owing to a number of reasons, including 1. The high fixed costs associated with logistics and warehousing. 2. Strong brand names and venture capital backed players with deep pockets fighting aggressively for market share and overall domination of the industry. Examples of this are Flipkart, Snapdeal, and Amazon. Indeed, the e-commerce market in India bears strategic importance to several of these players, including Amazon. Market size has been growing exponentially and is estimated to be at $16 billion by the end of 2016. A deeper look, however, reveals that e-commerce spending is currently 2% of total retail spending in India. This percentage is expected to rise to 3% by 2020 due to factors like increased adoption. However, compared to China, where e-commerce accounts for 8 to 10% of total spending, the Indian market still has a way to go. E-travel represents the largest segment of businesses, with 70% of the total e-commerce market. This is closely followed by the fastest growing segment, e-tailing, which is a combination of online retail and online marketplaces. This segment grew by a compound annual growth rate of around 56% from 2009 to 2014. 6 key business models characterize the industry. There are business-to-consumer marketplace players like Amazon and Snapdeal. Conversely, companies like Big Basket and Zovi adopt a business-to-consumer inventory-led model. It is worthy of note that government restrictions prohibit foreign direct investment in a P2C inventory-led model. Therefore, foreign players are constrained to adopt a marketplace model. The business-to-business model is another interesting segment which consists businesses who facilitate other businesses. Whereas the B2C models are generally characterized by huge losses, Deloitte has reported that opportunities within the B2 Deloitte has reported that operators within the B2B segment are profitable due to a lack of heavy discounts, greater emphasis on quality rather than on price, and higher volumes of purchases. Lastly, Uber and Ola Cabs are popular companies with an aggregator model. Market share, measured by gross merchant value, is held by majorly 3 players. Amazon holds 15%, Snapdeal 32%, and Flipkart 44%, making it the largest player. Revenues of e-commerce companies are made up of the 5 to 15% commission they receive from sellers. Despite revenues growing at an exponential rate, Indian e-commerce players have continued to rake in losses, largely due to their heavily discounted promotional offerings. Discounts were so generous that neighborhood mobile shops preferred to buy from these e-tailers rather than directly from the manufacturers. While discounting has served to attract customers and raise the volume of items being sold through the platforms, it has also had the adverse effect of massive cash burns. Snapdeal recorded a 142% loss in 2015 alone. This has further raised concerns in the minds of venture capitalists who have continued to demand that e-tailers look at other metrics beyond gross merchant value. Indian e-commerce has attracted a great deal of funding from venture capital firms. Sequoia Capital and Tiger Global are some of the more popular VCs with a stake in the Indian market. Flipkart alone was able to attract over $1 billion in funding in 2014. In recent times, however, Flipkart and Snapdeal have had challenges convincing investors to invest in another round of funding despite their remarkable valuations of 15 and 6.5 billion dollars respectively. Flipkart is said to have been unsuccessful in convincing the 15 investors they have engaged in recent times. Prior to that, however, between 2014 and 2015, Flipkart possessed a very strong bargaining power with potential new investors, so much so that they could demand exclusivity from investors. But all this has changed as investors have begun to demand evidence of profitability and a business model that is sustainable in the long run. Key challenges that confront industry players include high customer acquisition costs, challenging last mile delivery, high payment costs amplified by cash on delivery, low profitability due to high costs, regulatory barriers, and lack of skilled manpower. In addition to these key challenges, the industry seems to be facing a possible stagnation. From May 2015 to May 2016, the industry GMV grew from $9 billion to $10.28 billion, a modest 13% growth contrary to the high expectations that the industry had. Flipkart, which had earlier enjoyed a 400% growth when its GMV rocketed from $1 billion to $4 billion, is now facing barely growing GMV. Amazon, on the other hand, is aggressively pursuing customers because it is desperate to succeed in India's untapped market, and this seems to be paying off, as is evident in Amazon's increased share of the market pie. The overall disappointing growth comes in the wake of government regulations prohibiting e-tailers from directly influencing their customers' purchase decisions through heavy discounting. While many, including independent retailers, have welcomed the new regulations, others like Flipkart and Amazon are confronted with the barrier to their vital customer acquisition strategy. As this graph reveals, 2016 monthly users have either been stagnant or declining for Snapdeal and Flipkart, while Amazon initially experienced growth but is now level. We will now explore the business level strategy of my case study, Flipkart. Flipkart is one of India's unicorns and is considered to be the first mover in the e-tailing space. It was founded in 2007 by ex-Amazon staff Sachin Bansal and Bini Bansal, who were college mates at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Flipkart is currently owned by a Singapore-based holding company, and this makes it a foreign operator in India. Similar to Amazon, Flipkart started by selling books and soon expanded its selection to electronics, fashion, etc. It now sells 20 products per minute on average. Following its success, Flipkart launched its own product range called DigiFlip and sells tablets,